Okay, Tony Mormino, HVAC TV, streaming live for the first time from our temporary office near downtown Marshall, North Carolina. So in this video, we're going to do a little live episode showing you how we capture content on outdoor events like the HVAC Roadshow. You could see a still frame of that in the upper right corner, and I'm going to show you how we edit the video in a way that we can distribute on platforms like YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all the other platforms that we're on. In the bottom right, I have an external camera set up so that you can actually see Marshall, North Carolina, which is across the river from us now. Hello, Courtney Sanders. Courtney is handling all the back end stuff here. Thank you, Courtney. Courtney works with me at Insight Partners, Hobbs, Air Control Concepts, and we're on the marketing team. So in the bottom right, you can see the river in downtown Marshall, North Carolina. That's actually a camera that's sitting on the windowsill of my temporary office here on the third floor. Now our regular office is on the bottom floor, which is generally good because you get a great view of the river, except when there's a biblical flood coming through town. So the office right now is being renovated, and if you've seen our YouTube channel, HVAC TV, you've seen tons of videos on the renovation and the progress. We're hoping to be down there in about 4 or 5 weeks, but I have this beautiful temporary office set up, and it's a nice big, actually it's an apartment, and I'm sharing it with a few other folks. So if that seems like I'm talking a little bit low, that's why I'm talking. Hey Lee, thank you for the comment, I appreciate it. We're fortunate to work for a company that, lets us do the content the way we do, which is a lot of fun. It also raises awareness to, the recovery efforts. And you could see, I don't know, what I'm going to do is make this, give you a really good shot of the downtown Marshall. And you could see, I don't know if you could see, but there's a machine there on the railroad tracks. The tracks were actually kind of thrown off the rails here and just mangled. It's just been crazy how much damage has happened from the flood. But anyway, so that's another video. Sometimes I'll just live stream that and let people kind of watch it because it's a gorgeous view, and it's really fun to see the progress down there. So we're coming back. Anyway, the reason I wanted to make this video, a couple of reasons. One is I wanted to test the live streaming from our temporary office because next week we have a PDH show live. And we're going to have a couple guests on there. We're going to have Mike Singer with Northridge on there. And then we're also going to have Kevin Quillinan with Clima, New Jersey, who's going to be on the show. And it's our third part in a 3-part psychometric series. So we're super excited about bringing you that. So I wanted to test the live stream, test the acoustics in here. I hope you all could hear me okay. I do have some music playing in the background. I don't know if you could hear that or not. Sometimes it comes through, sometimes it does not on the stream. But anyway, I also wanted to spend a little time and show you all how we capture content in the field and then how we edit it for the YouTube channel. So what we're going to do is look at a piece of content. It's very short. It's about 4 minutes long. And we're going to play that and edit it. And I'll show you kind of how we do that. Okay, so what you're looking at in the upper right here is a program called Premiere Pro. It's an Adobe program. It's probably one of the more popular, I would call it advanced video editing tools. There are other tools that are not that advanced and not, you don't need that type of sophistication or that type of level depending on what you're doing. Some of what we do in Premiere Pro. We also use a program called CapCut. But so what you're looking at here is I've got the primary video, or the main track as we call it, which is me interviewing Jerry. I forgot Jerry's name because I haven't met him before, but Jerry Pettit with Nimbus, and they make adiabatic fluid coolers, which is what you're looking at there. So what happens is what we do is we do the interview, we record that one shot, and then I'll go back and I'll record what's called B-roll. So if you look in the upper left, you'll see the B-roll, which is just me going around the piece of equipment, in this case, the adiabatic fluid cooler. There's another piece of B-roll here, which is getting the name and the logo, the model number. And I believe this one's just a shot from the other side. So what we'll do is we'll kind of overlay. We'll go through the main track and we'll look for places to overlay some of this just so it chops it up a little bit. It makes it a little more interesting. You can get real fancy schmancy with this and add all types of overlays and cuts, zoom in, zoom outs, which are good if you have the time to do that. And if that's important to what you're doing and how you're editing the video, you can certainly do that. But we try to have a balance between, how much time we spend on editing and just creating the content that's of value. So the value here is just to learn about adiabatic coolers, dry coolers, why you would use them, how they work. And it's just really a quick, if someone Googles it, adiabatic dry coolers, you want this video to pop up and you want them to get a sense for the general piece of equipment, the applications, and then make the call. Call you as the rep or call the manufacturer and find out who their rep is. So I hope you can hear this. I'm going to play a little bit of this video. Here we go.
Can you give us a rundown? Okay. You ready? Hey, Jerry.
So I hope that
how are you? More meat on next.
So a few things you'll notice right off the bat, if you were able to hear that, it's very loud out there. There was a big semi truck running. There was 2 generators running. There was a lot of people out there. So we had these very nice, I thought I had them out here, but I don't, remote mics that are clipped on. I have one clipped on to my shirt there.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Tony.
Good. We're ambushing people out here.
And I have one on a mic that I just handed over to Jerry so he can see it, so he can have it, so he can talk into that, but you can hear the background noise. So the first thing we're going to do
here at
is
the Roadshow.
Try to fix that
So we
noise.
see this beautiful looking.
So most editing programs have the ability to, balance the voices so they're at the same level to make your voice sound more professional like it's in a podcast, and also to remove background noise. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to click on this main track, hit the dialogue button, and I'm going to clean up noisy dialogue, and I'm going to let that run for a sec.
I'm gonna guess fluid cooler.
So you can hear the major difference
I
in
got it right.
the background
Awesome.
noise
Do you
there.
mind
It's
introducing
greatly, greatly reduced.
My name's Jerry Pettit.
So it does reduce also all the other sound in there. So you have to go in there and adjust what's called the gain. And I'm going to do that now. I'm going to right click here. So I'm going to make our voices a little louder. Audio gain. I'm going to normalize the peaks at -6, which seems to work really well for us.
With Nimbus, and we actually brought a very small version.
Now that looks a little low. I'm going to play around with the sound. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is figure out a place where we want to start the video. Okay, so if I'm looking at this,
Can you give us a rundown?
what I don't want to do is start it here because I unfortunately have a product in the background that's not the subject product of the video. Now, that product in the background is called Dun & Bush. A very, very good product. And we have another video. We have several videos on that product, but it's not the specific topic of this video. So I don't want it to be confused. So what I'm going to do is probably cut it
Hey, Jerry.
right there. I'm going to go ahead and cut that over. Okay, let's try that.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, how are you?
Now, if I was thinking about it, and a lot of times when you're at these shows, I hear some feedback sometimes, and I'm critical of myself too, is like, why didn't you do this? So a lot of times at these shows, like we're doing a million different things, and the videos we're just kind of squeezing in there. So we're running out there. I think my son was running the camera. We're going around and ambushing people. So you kind of get what you get. And I think, sometimes it comes off more natural and exciting than if you're both standing there and you're staged and you're doing an introduction. I like kind of the walk-up thing,
How are you?
but I would have liked to have some equipment in the background of this shot right here so you know what's about to happen. That would have been, if I had a magic wand and could go back, that's something I would have fixed. But let's play this for a minute.
Hey, how are
Tony
you?
Marmino, nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you, Tony.
Good. We're ambushing people out here at the Roadshow.
Okay.
So we see this beautiful looking. I'm gonna guess fluid cooler.
So that is probably where I'll put some B-roll on. And I think I'll do something like this B-roll here. No, I don't want that. I know where I want that to go. I'm going to do this one here. Actually, I'll do this one so I can get their, get their logo in there early. That's a good place for that. So now I'm going to take this video and I'm going to drag it on top here. Now let's see how that naturally fits.
I'm gonna guess fluid cooler.
It's absolutely a fluid cooler.
Oh, I got it right.
Yeah, you did.
Awesome. Do you mind
You're a
introducing
knowledgeable
yourself?
guy.
So right there, I don't really like the beginning of it. It's kind of slow. Let's see if I could. I'm going to start it right there. I think I'm going to start it earlier too. Let's try this.
We see this beautiful looking. I'm gonna guess fluid.
There we
cooler.
go. That's kind of what I was looking for.
Absolutely a fluid cooler.
Oh, I got it right.
Yeah, you did.
Awesome. Do you mind
You're a
introducing
knowledgeable
yourself?
guy. My
Thank you,
name's
Courtney.
Jerry Pettit. I'm with Nimbus, and we actually brought a very small version of an adiabatic cooler.
Adiabatic cooler. Okay.
Adiabatic cooler.
Now,
So
what that means is you spray water on it.
we spray water, we evaporate water in the air to lower the ambient air temperature.
Right.
So what this does is we'll just use ambient air.
Okay, so that might be a good overlay for. I got a close-up of what I call the spray tree. They call it something else, but so that kind of shows the adiabatic function of it.
We'll just use ambient air alone for most of the year. We'll just.
So most fluid coolers are dry coolers. If you're not familiar with dry coolers, they're basically a coil and a fan. You bring a fluid in that's warm, it leaves at a lower temperature if the ambient temperature outside is cooler than the fluid temperature, and hopefully a lot cooler than the fluid temperature. This particular piece of equipment uses an adiabatic cooling device, which basically mists water onto the coil. What that does is it cools the outdoor air. So if it's 95 degrees out and you spray this water on it, it might knock that down 20 degrees. I'm not really sure how much it knocks it down. It depends on how dry the air is. So you would see these often in very dry climates, because if you try to use this type of product, let's say in Florida, where it's very humid, maybe even here in North Carolina, depends on the application, the hours you're going to run it, etc. Depends on a million different things. It won't be as effective if there's humidity in the air. So that's kind of what's going on here. So let's go play this a little bit more.
We'll just use ambient air alone for most of the year. We'll just draw it in over the fin face and the coils.
I think that's a good spot for that overlay.
That's how we'll get our heat rejection.
Right.
On the hottest days of the year, when we can't.
Might be a little long. I'm gonna cut that right about there because it kind of stalls anyway.
When we can't do it with just ambient air alone, because it's say 95 degrees outside, we'll use a misting spray to get evaporation into the air to change that 95 degree ambient air to say 75 degrees.
So he answered the question. So it's about a 20 degree depression, and of course it depends on the dryness or the humidity level in the air.
Right.
Draw it across the fin face and coils. That'll give us our heat rejection to get say 85 degree leaving fluid temperature.
Right.
So that's adiabatic. Different from a cooling tower in that they're evaporating water and the cold water goes to a basin.
Right.
See, if I wanted to spend a lot of time, if I wanted to make this a little bit more engaging, a little more exciting, I would take a cooling tower clip and I would put it in there. Actually, I might do that after this live stream, because I have some really good cooling tower footage that we've taken, and we try to use all of our own footage. We do use stock footage sometimes, but it's a lot nicer to use the footage that you have, because typically it's the products you rep and the brands you're trying to promote. So
we're trying to change the air temperature that's being drawn across the coil.
I love it. So
yeah.
Fluid Coolers 101 for those watching who may be new to the industry. You bring
And again,
in fluid,
lower right-hand
you
corner
cool
is
it down,
live shot of Marshall, North Carolina,
it goes out cooler than it came in.
Right, exactly. So
which,
that's
as
how
do it.
you
what
probably
do
know, has
is
been
dry
hit by
air
the
coolers,
floods.
which
So,
we manufacture without the
Without the
adiabatic
spray
spray.
and these
right.
particular
And then
units,
we
the
add
company's
the
called
adiabatic.
Nimbus, and
This
they're made
happens
in
to be
Alabama.
One of the smallest we have.
Might have to make a
We go up
factory
to
trip.
40 feet
That might be a
long,
good
and now we
HVAC
go
TV
up to
factory
18
trip there to
feet tall
Alabama.
To
Wow.
mimic or to fit in a similar footprint than a traditional
Right,
open or closed evaporative tower.
And what are some of the common applications today?
It's all over the board.
Yeah.
Heat pumps, water-cooled chillers, and cold.
So when he's talking about heat pumps, he's talking about water source, water-cooled heat pumps. Generally those are in what's called a closed circuit cooling tower application or something like this product. So you don't have an open circuit. There's pros and cons to having an open cooling tower versus a closed circuit cooling tower or fluid cooler. One of the advantages here is you don't have the maintenance that's involved in an open cooling tower, but you don't get as much cooling out of it either. So it's one of those things that it so depends on your application and your budget, where you're at in the year. Is it a data center? Is it a hospital? Is it a school? Is it a church? All these things come into play when you're trying to
Colder
decide.
environments, we'll do free cooling.
Free cooling, that's big.
Shut down chillers in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So free cooling is a very popular application for fluid coolers, dry coolers, whatever you want to call it. If it's very cold outside, instead of running your chillers, let's say it's in the, could be in the 30s or the 20s, if you got glycol, and you'll take that water, you'll cool it here, you'll bring it into a heat exchanger, then cool your cooling loop inside. So you could essentially shut down your machines. And, if you're new to the business, you might think, why would you need cooling if it's 30 degrees outside? Well, a lot of buildings need heating in the exterior load, but the interior load, you need cooling pretty much year round.
Probably the hottest thing that's rolling right now is data centers. On a national level, the uptick in business and data centers has been astronomical. It's almost like it's been an evolution. Used to be a grow industry,
right?
And then it was mining for Bitcoin, which is cryptocurrency, which is kind of like the first start of a data center.
Right.
Now, true data centers are really looking at ways to save water or even go dry.
It's totally insane. I mean, we got people coming to us saying, "Oh, I got a mic right here, but thank you."
Yeah.
We got owners coming to us saying, "Whose chillers can we get and how fast?"
Yeah.
It used to be like, "I want this particular type of chiller." Now it's who can make
Yeah,
it.
data centers
My point there is
are really
kind of
blowing up. I
exploding.
actually
So this
printed
would
out some
handle the condenser heat
fun
rejection
facts
off
for
of the
data
chillers.
centers. I call them fun facts, but they're
And
just
some
facts.
free cooling as well, typically.
It could do both. Right. Yeah.
Right,
So-
'cause then
So data centers consume about 3% of the world's electricity production, and they could power over 6.5 million American homes. Water usage, I couldn't find anything current except for this, 300,000 gallons per day of water usage for an average size data center. That's not in the whole country or in the whole world. That's the average size data center uses 300,000 gallons of water per day. And people, who aren't in the business might not understand, well, how do you use the water? Well, the water they're talking about there is the cooling tower evaporation. So you've got all this heat load from the facility you're pulling out in the chiller. You reject that to the atmosphere with something called a cooling tower. And there's tons of evaporation in a cooling tower. So 300,000 gallons per day. In 2014, it says data centers use enough to fill 250,000 Olympic swimming pools. That was 10 years ago. I don't know if it's doubled since then, but it's certainly a lot more than since then. And 2023 was the largest amount of data center construction in history. Data center locations. London has the largest concentration of data centers in any city in the world with over 300 locations. California has the largest concentration of data centers in the US. A large data center size. A large data center uses as much electricity as a small US town. Data centers use airside econometers. That's what this sheet printed out. I'm not sure I've seen a lot of that. Maybe that's true. I don't know. We see a lot of waterside econometers for sure. The other stat here, we did a post, and to the best of our calculations, we calculated that 50 gallons of water will run GPT chat for 1.6 minutes in the United States. So I use GPT chat a lot, so I'm probably guilty for using a lot of water.
If it's in that environment, yeah.
If it's in that environment, because the data center, typical temperatures in there are not 70 degrees, right?
No, well, what we're seeing is they're asking for us cold water out of our dryer.
Again, if I was going to spend
it could be
a lot of time on this, I would overlay some data center
cold water
content in there, using video, stock video from like Adobe or from Canva. We don't have any. We as Insight Partners or Hobbs, we don't have any of that kind of stock footage because you cannot get into data centers and take videos. They don't let you.
We're still using adiabatic.
If you're listening and have a data center and want HVAC TV to come,
cooling the racks, I'm assuming.
Please message me.
Right.
LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, whoever.
That they're using. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Have you done any of those jobs? Is that actually
So immersion technology is the new way to cool
it started happening.
chips.
We first saw it in the,
so right now we use air typically to cool the racks of computers in a data center. Well, air is not a very effective heat transfer because it's not very dense. So fluid is a much better heat transfer. So they have what's called immersion technology, which they're actually immerging the chips in the whole computer, I guess, the whole computer rack, or parts of the computer rack, whatever makes the most heat, in this fluid, which is a mixture of oil and water-ish.
So instead of using air to cool the computer racks, you're actually putting them in the fluid. I don't know if it's water or not.
No, it's not water.
It's some other fluid,
it's an oil. It's a type of oil or
something that transfers the heat to a heat exchanger. Then we take the water on the other side of it, run it through this, something like that.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. And
there you go. I explained it better than myself.
Tighter than you can imagine.
They're cramming them in there,
It looks like
and you could look that up. You could Google immersion technology for data centers and see it. It's pretty interesting thing. And I don't know how much that's going to help, but I'm sure it's going to help a lot. With the explosion of AI data centers, as we've already talked about, have just been exploding.
Exactly. That's excellent.
So,
thank you so much.
All right,
appreciate you. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you.
We appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you.
Okay, so a few things I think I'm going to change here. Let's get the ending right.
Thanks for coming. We appreciate you.
We appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you.
Probably right there would be good. And then I'll go into some kind of outro video I'll put together real quick. What I don't have is... I've got some more B-roll here. I'm going to use this somewhere. Let's see what this is. I think it's another shot of the machine. We do see some, we had a question here, we do see some geothermal cooling and heating. We don't see it a lot in the Southeast. You can, make that happen in some facilities if the economics work out right. You have to have, in my very limited experience, you have to have, your electricity's got to be very expensive to justify the cost of boring the geothermal tubes heat rejection, because it can get quite expensive.
One of the smallest we have.
I think I'm going to do it right there. Just put a little, because this clip shows the other side of it that doesn't. I wish I would have had some of the fans. I don't think I have anything. Let me just see.
We go up to 40 feet long, and now we go up to 18 feet tall to mimic or to fit in a similar footprint than a...
I thought I had some B-roll of the back side of this thing. I might have it somewhere. Ah, there's the fans. Okay. So I'm going to find a place to put that. He was talking about...
on it.
We spray water, we evaporate water in the air to lower the ambient air temperature.
Right.
So what this does is we'll just use ambient air alone for most of the year. We'll just draw it in over the thin face and the
think right there.
Coils and expel the warm air up here. That's how we'll get.
He's talking about it there, so maybe let's try that again. See.
Most of the year, we'll just draw it in over the fin face and the coils.
I think it needs to go right. There.
Water in the air to low.
I think what I'm going to do is put this here, extend it a little bit. Hey, thank you for watching, by the way.
Lower the ambient air temperature.
This is a lot of fun. I like going live and doing these quick live shows.
Use ambient air alone for most of the year. We'll just draw it in over the fin face and the coils and expel the warm air up here. That's how we'll get our heat rejection.
So you know the B-roll you want it to.
When we can't do it with just ambient
be
air
contextual
alone,
to what he's talking about.
Because it's say 95 degrees outside, we'll use a misting spray to get evaporation.
If I had some
the air
B-roll of actual units misting, that would be where I would put that. That would be nice.
Say 75 degree.
Now, what is this clip here? That's the other side of it. I'm just looking at this B-roll here to see what else I have. Okay, I think we've... There's a shot there, right there. I don't have that anywhere. Maybe I'll just squeeze that in somewhere.
5 degree.
Probably a little long. I'll just make it shorter here. Let's see.
The air to change that 95 degree ambient air to say 75 degree.
Right.
Draw it across the fin face and coils. That'll give us our heat rejection to get say 85 degrees.
Okay, I think that's about does it.
Hey Jerry.
Hey, how
Tony
are you?
Mormino, nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you, Tony.
Good. We're ambushing people out here at the Roadshow.
Okay.
So we see this beautiful looking, I'm gonna guess fluid cooler.
So the other thing I've noticed
Absolutely
is
fluid cooler.
Oh, I got it right.
Yeah, you did.
my
Awesome. Do
mic
you
is
mind
right
introducing
here
yourself?
next to my mouth,
My name's Jerry Pettit.
and
I'm
he's
with
holding
Nimbus,
his
and we
down
actually
here,
brought a
which
very small
naturally is
version
where you
of an adiabatic
probably think you should
cooler.
hold it.
Adiabatic
Sometimes I'll
cooler,
walk up
okay.
and I'll actually clip it onto them
Now-
so that we're
What that means is you
equally
spray water
distant
on it.
from the mic,
We
which is
spray
important
water,
because
we evaporate
you could tell my
water
voice here is a
in
lot
the
louder
air
than
to lower the ambient
than
air
his
temperature.
voice. So we want to kind of smooth that out. So we've got the cleanup noisy dialogue. There's an enhanced speech here too. Loudness repair, yeah. I don't think it's clarity. Okay, I'll have to look at that, but I think yeah, I don't know. I've used that enhanced before and I don't like it. Let me just listen to this. Actually, I think it's kind of fun.
So what this does is we'll just use ambient air alone for most of the year. We'll just draw it in over the fin face and the coil.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And I like kind of having the background noise of the truck there and the other people, especially when we were at a live show like AHR. I really like the crowd noise and the murmur and the humble and the mumble in the background. I think it's a lot of fun to have that in the video. So, okay, so the next thing we're going to do
Hey
is
Jerry.
Hey, how
Tony Mormino, nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you, Tony.
we're going to render this video and we're going to put it in. Oh, the next thing I'm going to do is put the outro on here, which is a video that shows the logo. HVAC TV is the brand, is our brand, our YouTube brand. Shows the logo and it might say subscribe now or something like that. So anyway, I appreciate you all watching And if you have any questions, give me a holler. Again, we are happy to visit a data center. If you're one watching and want HVAC TV to come visit you and we can make that work in the schedule, please reach out to me. And thank you so much for watching.